seeing that he's more so on that grappler side of things, you know, that's going to take a lot of the chunk of damage from Krogan. But as we get set up and we get looking at these players, why don't we dig right into this match and see which of these players are going to come out on top, and they are going to be able to qualify throughout the top 3 European players to progress through the bracket.
Yeah, so no surprises here. We do see the Machamp versus the Krogan. Another thing that could be good for Machamp, his burst attack not known, not celebrated by any means as one of the strongest in the game. Just a really weird hitbox. His burst mode overall really strong. But I think in this matchup, it could actually be pretty good because it hits high, so it gives an answer to some of Krogan's aerial shenanigans. A boulder right off the start for Boolerex. That's a nice pull for him.
Yeah, now being able to take full utilization though, and also trying to make sure to control the ground right here. Boolerex not having to overcommit, knowing that Goreso wants to play extremely more patient, but letting go of his shield right there is going to be able to break right through it, and Boolerex is stuck against the wall right now with Goreso playing extremely patiently, just as you mentioned.
Yeah, and Goreso is running the Mew. That Goreso moved to... Oh, didn't know that the puddle was behind him. Dashes back into it and gets caught. Now calls the Mew. Burst is going to be really strong, and Goreso, the damage potential from Mew, if you get crit or even double buff, very, very strong. Oh! Boolerex ready for the cross chop and goes low.
And gets the debuff too onto Boolerex too. Now Goreso stuck against, Boolerex stuck against the wall right here. Just tries to do a wake up into shield. Does manage to jump out of that situation though, and now Goreso taking a chunk of that damage. And to consider at the same time, being able to control a lot of that spacing on the field is really troublesome for Goreso to try to close in this gap.
Yeah, and just approaching into the projectiles, we said was going to be one of the toughest things. The pebble pressure is so strong. Tries to cover that with the dash. Not going to work. And Goreso goes for a grab. Going to get punished for it.
What an explosive first round already. I love the performance that we're seeing so far from Boolerex. Again, being able to take advantage of controlling this space on the field. It essentially forces Goreso to close in that gap, but Boolerex is not even giving him the opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. Boolerex has been doing a fantastic job using Krogan's zoning tools, which in this matchup are so strong, but Goreso ready for that one. Going for the Beno Shock and called out by a cross chop. Goreso has Boolerex in the corner. Oh, another shoulder into a close combat.
And Mew too. Boolerex was stuck against the wall right there. Does call in the Mew at the same time. Increase that crit chance. Give that additional random positive status as well. And Krogan with his RNG too. Just being able to take full utilization over the burst right before it runs out. Deals a good amount of damage. Can Goreso answer back? I mean, he has the burst meter himself.
He does, and that was so devastating for Goreso there. He got a double buff off the Mew call, and Boolerex used Krogan's slide attack, which on hit allows him to steal them, and did. So it'll be really interesting to see if Goreso sticks with the Mew in the second game, knowing that he could take it, but here's the burst, and that's going to be a crit. Boolerex was going for a throw, and he's going to be punished for it. This damage is going to be humongous.
And that's exactly what makes Machamp so scary. The damage output and the comeback. Goreso putting himself on the board.
That was like over 350 damage or something in 2 hits. The comeback potential of Machamp, because of the devastation he can bring, is just amazing. Double buffs again for Goreso. I keep calling it out because that's a % chance to happen. You can get just an attack or just a crit, but sometimes you'll get both. And already covered up though by the Mimikyu, being replaced by the debuffs that provides.
Yeah, and that's that RNG that we were talking about. The amount of chances that you have to get those buffs or debuffs going in, and Krogan is going to get that wake-up burst synergy. Going forward, though, he's stuck against the wall, and that's that damage output that we're seeing from Goreso, tacking on a lot of that pressure. Though now swapping places and opting to go for that position is Boolerex. He's going to close in that gap, and now is going to be able to take control with the burst himself. Goreso was ready, though. You saw him grounded, you saw him hold the shield, and Boolerex is still playing extremely aggressive.
Yeah, great job CAing through the boulder and getting burst. Thanks to it. Oh, Boolerex was charging a reversal, but Goreso ready for it, sitting outside the range and lands his burst, and Goreson's gonna win round 1. That interaction was so fascinating. Boolerex had the double debuffs, so he knew in that situation he had a true reversal, so he was charging it up, waiting for Goreso to dash in, but Goreso knew and was one step ahead of him and just dashed in, but not close enough, spaced it perfectly, and closed it out. Wow, this is off to such a good start, Vicky.
That was absolutely big brain right there. Good awareness as well, coming in. from Gorson, and now being able to have that advantage on board, have that point lead away from Boolerex. Boolerex, they started off really strong, but the way that Gorson was able to play that out, take full control over the fact that Machamp has so much of that damage output, it's a threat all on its own, especially when you're stuck against the wall right now as Boolerex.
Yeah, and I speculated a little bit that maybe Mew wouldn't be the call, but just the damage potential, Mew wouldn't be the call potentially because Boolerex can steal the buffs. But the damage potential is so good, it's just paying off for Gorson even though the risk is there. Now Gorson working his way in, we see Boolerex trying to steal the crit buff, Gorson ready for it that time with the counter attack, preventing that, and he started so much offense off these shoulders.
Especially since he's still taking on that advantage, utilizing that crit buff that he was able to utilize from the Mew, and now is able to close in that gap after getting that knockdown, and it's going to be a wipe here. Gorson taking this first round of the second game.
Yeah, Gorson looking very, very strong. I think he had to find his footing fighting Krogan. Fighting Krogan is not something you often get to do given the low representation, but now looking very strong. Boolerex has to answer back here and find a way to get some offense started, and that is a start. Has Gorson in the corner.
Yeah, being able to use Mimikyu right there to inflict that double negative debuff right there, and Boolerex is stuck around the corner. Does have that burst to reverse the situation to ignore some of that damage that Gorson wants to attack on, but you can take a look at Gorson's burst now instead, and he does have the Mew that could retaliate right back and make sure that he can finalize this round if he actually manages to shield this, and he does so successfully. He calls in the Mew. When is the burst going to come out right now, Burnside? You see Boolerex trying to close in this gap, and he pulls the trigger.
Yeah, great patience from Gorson, just waiting for Boolerex to spend as much of that timer as he can, waiting to go into burst of his own, playing some mind games with submission, goes into burst, not going to connect, but look at all the space Gorson's taken. He now has Boolerex cornered, and this is the worst place you could possibly be on screen against a Machamp.
Luckily, though, he does manage to get out of that corner, and Boolerex finds this opening now to tack on some of that extra damage onto Gorson. Is it going to be enough, though? He does have that Mimikyu as well to try to tack on some of that double inflict debuff onto Gorson. And you see Gorson struggling to try to close in this space gap that Boolerex keeps building up for himself, similar to that first round.
Yeah, and Boolerex doing an awesome job here. A lot of Kroga's attacks just do lots of chip, but all Boolerex needs in a timeout situation is chip. Has Gorson down to 1 HP. Now Gorson the one who has to bring this back. Approaching into the Mimikyu, gonna get caught. Boolerex played that so well. So well. Went to options that didn't do, just did recoverable health damage, but wow, just so smart.
Yeah, also the fact that he knew that he didn't need to overcommit right there, being aware of the time, knowing that Gorson wanted to play a little bit more aggressive because of the fact that he was at a disadvantage with less health. Really good patient play from Boolerex, calling it out, and now getting this mix-up onto Gorson. That's that momentum that we're seeing shift in favor of Boolerex now that he has that burst meter online too.
Yeah, really nice swim combo here. Those are not easy to do. One of the reasons why not as many people play Krogan as you would think. Some of his combo games are tough, and Boolerex doing a great job there. Finds a nice throw, has Gorson in a tricky position here.
Oh, just use the Mew to be able to get that burst meter at the ready, especially that crit that he has now built up for himself. Boolerex is stuck by the corner, and I would be scared right now if I were Boolerex, because Gorson, he called that out. He was able to hold shield, but can he manage to catch Boolerex off guard? And he does! That's going to be a huge chunk of damage.
Yeah, Boolerex was at about 179. Is it going to be enough? And it is! Gorson takes it 2-0 over Boolerex, clinching a spot as one of the EU qualifiers for the Pokemon Players Cup 3 for Pokken Tournament DX. Gorson has returned.
Wow, what a match to watch right there. Just the way that we saw this matchup play out. I mean, we don't get to see Krogan very often too, so